Hey guys, and welcome to High and Black. I'm Bisi Akins, and High and Black is a safe space where you can get to know Black people, learn about their Black experiences, and how they've navigated their lives and careers as Black people. On today's episode, I am joined by Kay, and he is an amazing graphic designer. Kay, how are you?
I'm all good, you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I feel like we've got like pastel colours going on right now with what's this, lilac?
Yeah, lilac versus orange.
And orange, I think it works well. How's your day been? How have you been?
It's been good, it's been productive, busy day, yeah.
Yeah?
It's been good.
So what's it like being a graphic designer?
Deadlines. A lot of deadlines. To be fair, I mean, I live my life by calendars and emails, so I'm always quite on it when it comes to that stuff. But yeah, I mean, more recently as well, looking to buy a property with my fiance. So yeah, it's been kind of growing up on that side of things, but yeah, busy nevertheless.
Okay, so have you always wanted to be a graphic designer? Like growing up, what was that like?
Yeah, growing up, I mean, my family are very law orientated. My sister, she's just started uni, she's doing law. Everyone's kind of law focused, and I'm obviously the graphic designer, so a little bit the odd one out. But yeah, I think from school days, you know, I've always enjoyed drawing and doing art classes, and I always knew that was going to be my thing. It was either that or English, because I love writing as well. So I thought if I wasn't going to be a journalist, which I wanted to do at one stage, it would be a graphic designer. So yeah, that's all.
So with a family that is very law orientated, or what country are you from, or heritage?
So Jamaica.
Jamaica,
yeah,
okay. Jamaica. So I presume, and I know many African and Caribbean families are very like traditional in terms of like the career paths that they allow their children to go through. So growing up in a very law-orientated family, what happened when you said you wanted to become a graphic designer?
Boy, I feel like every person from that background with the parents, it's always like, is that a real job? Is that like, can you make money from that? Do you know what I mean? I even think to myself at the degree show, when I had my degree show with my family there, they didn't really get it, bless them. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's all different things happening, but I think when you try to explain it and actually try to see things from a different perspective and say, you know, in a way, everything that you see, whether it's advertisement, whether you're reading it, it's all got some creative element to it. So when you try to dress it up, well, not dress it up, that's the wrong word, but when you try to see it from that perspective, it makes it easier to understand. So I feel like they now get what I really do, and they see what I can do as well, which helps.
That works. And if you could talk us through your career as a graphic designer, the projects you've worked on, the things you've done from beginning to where you are now.
Sure. So, I mean, graduated 7, 8 years ago, and then I've got my first job in advertising, so that's kind of been my sector, all advertising. But I've always been one of those guys where if my full-time wasn't really cutting it, I had to do some side project, I had to do some sort of outlet, do you know what I mean? So I've always been quite active on like the freelance or like self-directed work. So my first sort of self-directed project was a project that I worked, but I still work with now with, it's a creative partner of mine, it's called Olga. And Olga and Kay is what we are as a sort of studio, and what we do is we basically go around different communities and we speak to locals in the community and we try to write stories based on that. And it all stemmed off from when we first met, because obviously I'm from London and she's from Latvia, so we were quite interested in both our upbringings and how we kind of grew up. So that was kind of like the catalyst, as it were, to create this, you know, magazine based on different people's upbringings in different communities. So I've always been quite keen on community-based projects. And then another one was TEDx Houston, which for me, that's, you know, the team is a family. And for those who don't really know, if you don't know what TEDx Houston is, it's a platform which puts a spotlight on the African continent. So we put on an event annually, every year, and we would fly out speakers from across the continent, whether it was musicians, poets, artists, people who basically doing amazing things on the continent but not getting that recognition that they deserve. So we would fly them out and we would put on a sort of 2-day seminar. And I, as a designer, part of the team, basically created all the collateral, the print collateral, the digital online work as well, alongside another designer called Tola as well. But the team, I mean, I say team, it was like a family, do you know what I mean? Like we met up, I mean, this was 3 years that we did this for, and we stopped just December gone, and you know, we'll meet up every 2-3 weeks, have some food, have some drinks, catch up, talk about what ideas for what themes we want to do for our next event. And yeah, I mean, they looked after me, man. They looked after me well, and you know, it was even now we stopped. We're still got our WhatsApp group. We're still active, and we try and meet when we can as well.
Do you think you'd be bringing it back?
Do you know what it is? I feel like the team has, because it got to a point where, I mean, everyone had different things going on. Do you know what I mean? Like with myself, looking to buy as well, and the mortgage, and a few other things happening as well. And everyone in that team is doing amazing things, and I kind of feel like we might not come together to do TEDx Houston, but it could be something else. And there's already people who are doing amazing things in that team already, doing their own kind of thing, and we're bringing people in when you need it. Because the beauty of doing something like this is that everyone's got their own skill set that brings to the table. So yeah, I mean, I see, it's funny because actually one person in particular in the team has actually just dropped me an email about a week ago and asked to do a print project. So I won't go into too much because she's still in the pipeline. But yeah, like, you know, bringing people in like that is quite a nice thing to do.
And with the organisation and the companies that you work for, would you say they're predominantly white or non-black spaces?
Do you know what? When I first graduated and the advertising places I went to, predominantly white. And I found myself at a point where it was one of those ones where it was difficult at times, because one, you're a junior, so you already feel that element of, you know, you have to say yes to everything, or, you know, you shouldn't be asking those kind of questions. And then to kind of top it off, when you're the only person of colour in a space like that, you, especially getting to like a boardroom, meeting room, that environment, it can be easy to kind of get a bit lost in the herd a bit, or not feel like your voice is being spoken. And I'll be honest, I feel like every job I've been at, because I've been at quite a few, I've kind of gotten better and more confident to kind of challenge in the workplace. And even, you know, what's currently going on now in the world and whatnot, I feel like the Black Lives Matter movement being so dominant this year as well in particular, it's well, for me personally, it's given me more confidence in the workplace. And even when I'm doing my self-directed or freelance, you know, I feel, if I see something that doesn't feel right in terms of what they're trying to do, whether it's racially or anything else, maybe before I might have been like, well, I'll just kind of go along with it because, you know, but now I feel like as long as there's a respectful way I address it, then I have to say something, you know, it's the right thing to do.
So do you feel like the Black Lives Matter movement kind of helped your voice be louder, or it helped you have a voice more in the spaces that you occupy?
I think so. You've been a bit more confident. I think that's the thing, to challenge in a way where, because that's the thing, it's, you challenge, but it can be perceived in a different way of how you do it. So obviously in some workplaces, if you challenge but in the wrong way, it can become across quite aggressive. So you have to kind of, and this comes with time, I think, as well. Do you know what I mean? I think because of where I've been at, I know what I'm capable of doing. I know my skill sets, and I feel confident now if I see something going on to challenge it in a way that's respectful from both sides of things as well.
That's different, because I know, for me personally, when I saw the Black Lives Matter everything and the whole incident with George Floyd and just everything in itself, it was a catalyst for me to be able to speak more. Like, I did a video and now I'm doing the High and Black podcast and all that stuff, so it was a catalyst. But I feel like I had already had confidence in a sense to challenge if someone wasn't really treating me the right way, or leave a space if I felt like I wasn't being given the due respect, or how do I even articulate, but they would treat me a bit indifferent because I was black, right? And that confidence is different for me and it's different for you. For people that are listening in that don't really have that confidence or are looking for that confidence, what advice would you give them to be able to stand there on ground and speak and have a voice in that essence, and, you know, represent themselves fully?
Of course. It's a good question. It's a mixture of things. I think, you know, it does take time to build confidence. Do you know what I mean? Not everyone has just got that gift of just being able to. So I think there is time element, but also you've got to immerse yourself with people that are like you. In, you know, in a sense that what I mean by that is, you know, with my full-time job that I was doing and a few other jobs I was doing, it wasn't always cutting it for me in terms of the work I was doing, or, you know, maybe the people I was working with in terms of, you know, gelling. So I felt, you know, things like TEDx, for example, that was a perfect example of, you know, everyone there has got a direct linkage to the continent, or, you know, they're inspired by it, as in a sense that, for me, what I learned in that space of doing the side projects and the TEDx, it fed into my full-time work anyway. And it gave me more confidence because I had people around me that was bold and brave and challenging, that I was able to use that context and apply it to my full-time job, which maybe not necessarily, well, it wasn't predominantly, it's predominantly white space. So I was able to kind of use what I learned to bring it into my workplace. And
you see in the spaces that you do occupy and the work that you do, right, even though you've, let's say, fit in well and you have good rapport with your colleagues that may not be black or whatever, are there instances that you can recall or remember where you've been outrightly reminded that you're black?
Yeah. It happened with a job fairly recently where it wasn't actually to me, it was actually to someone else in the space, and I heard them make a comment regarding the hair.
Your hair?
Not my hair, regarding another colleague.
Okay.
So basically, this person was mixed race. But
Okay.
she had her hair out.
Yeah. So it was nice curly for?
Nice curly, natural, just
Yeah.
doing everything, which is different because it's always been quite relaxed and different. And I heard a colleague say something about it being professional now, even though it's out, it still looks professional. And she didn't say anything, but it made me think, well, hang on, if it wasn't out, if it just because it's out, it doesn't mean it's not professional, it's a natural hair. And I thought it's those kind of comments that I had to say something, do you know what I mean? And we addressed it and we sorted it out. But I think to myself, I wouldn't have, maybe the old me might not have said something, I might have just keep it like, these things happen and move on. But now I feel like you can't let those things slide, because also the person that said it, it wasn't coming maybe necessarily from a terrible place, but just you have to educate these people sometimes because they don't know what they're saying, to justify what they're saying. But you have to, for certain people, because I know this person in particular, and I know we're coming from a
bad place, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I also had to think to myself, well, if you don't bring them up on it, they might think that's okay to say, all the time or whatever. So it's those kind of incidents where I had to bring it up. In terms of me personally, where I've been affected, nothing vocally has been said to me in a sense, but it's been, it's like a feeling sometimes. Like I say, when I was in advertising, advertising is just, I'm not in that space no more, I work in comms, but in advertising, which actually links together, but ads, it's a little bit dog eat dog in a way. And it's a little bit, if you're a junior, and you're starting out, you're keen to impress, you want to do your best, but you already got people who are just kind of pushing you down the bottom of the pile. So, I was doing late nights, pitches and all this until 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. It was just becoming the norm. But you had to kind of if you don't say anything about it, then it just becomes, you're just kind of part of the norm in a way. So you have to say something, speak up.
Speak up, say something, or just become a norm.
Of course. Yeah.
I love that. So I wanted to ask, what was the moment where you actually felt like graphic design is my thing? Like, this is what I meant to do, this is my purpose, and I'm going to go for it full throttle?
This might surprise you. Do you know what? This year...
Only this year?
I know it's going to... No, hear me out.
Okay.
There's a reason why I say that, because, I've been at a few places for work and I've done a lot of freelance and self-directed, but this year has been a mad year in the sense that I feel like maybe it is something... I feel like it is to do with the Black Lives Matter movement as well, where a lot of people have been reaching out to me to do interviews and to be featured and to collaborate as well. And I've kind of grown in confidence as a result of that. And... maybe it's always been there, but this year in particular, I feel like, especially during the lockdown period as well, because lockdown was my birthday around March.
Okay, happy belated.
It was that moment where, because you're in your kind of, you're in that space, and I'm doing collaborations with people via Zoom, and I'm still meeting up people in parks and these kind of things. I kind of had a reflection. I was saying to my partner that actually, I know I've always wanted to do this, but this just, really reaffirms what I'm kind of meant to be doing on this planet. Do you know what I mean? I love what I do in terms of work, but I feel like my love's grown even more this year. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, definitely.
That's beautiful. So this year has been really weird for a lot of people. We have the whole, I feel like, 2020, they say 2020 is the year of clear vision, not the year, but 2020, it represents
2020.
clear vision, as in and it came and everything was just so confusing. We didn't know if it was going forward, backward, if it was staying still. And the fact that you've been able to use this time, or this time has been reaffirmation for you that this is what you're meant to do, and this is purpose for you. I think that's very, very beautiful. And a lot of young people right now are in the creative scene, they're in the creative realm, and they're trying to be quote-unquote creatives. I want to know how or what made you find your value in the market? Because it's kind of difficult for people to kind of know, this is how much I'm going to charge for a design, or this is how much I'm going to charge per hour for videography or photography or anything in the creative field, because quote unquote people be like, but is it really a job in the beginning, right? So how did you find that value, and what advice would you give to people who are looking to find their value?
Do you know what, it's one of those, I think I talked to someone recently about, is that they need to teach this stuff in school. Even going back to, because I mentioned the mortgage thing, basic, just fundamental in terms of if you want to set up your own business, finances, and with freelance, there's tax, there's all these different elements. And to be fair, when it comes to charging for a job, it's always a tricky one, because you need to value your worth and how long something will take, and obviously understand that, especially when it's a starting relationship with a potential client, which could be ongoing. How I tend to work is that if I see I like to see the vision in the sense that I like to know that if I do this work for you now, there could be potential more down the line. So it's nice to build that relationship. So I'm always quite flexible in the sense that I give a bit of scope, you know, especially with feedback and amends, because for anyone in design, you know that if you design something, it's usually amends, and it's trying to clamp down on how many we go back and forth, because you could be here all day, do you know what I mean? And you undercharge yourself in a way. But in terms of how I now work, I think it's a tricky one, because I think time has helped me in understanding my worth, if that makes sense.
So time is the commodity that you use to value your rate or everything?
Yeah, because I was a classic case of, you know, if I get given a project, I mean, I'm doodling, I'm doing stuff which is maybe not even related to this particular thing. I kind of lose my train of thought. And I'm thinking, hang on, this is my hours I'm being charged for. So then you find yourself having to speed up towards the end of that job just to make ends meet. So, I mean, now, again, with time, you know, you start to understand how you work, you understand, you know, your timekeeping. That's gotten better for sure, you know, like I know now, right, okay, you need to pull your socks up and get on it now, like stop playing FIFA and actually do something about it. So there's those little things that I'm telling myself. In terms of advice, I mean, it helps us, you know, speak to people who are already active in that field. You know, you've got to get experience from people who have done it. And, you know, it's someone you should, if you trust, you know, they're not going to kind of feed you lies and all those things. And, you know, I won't lie about it. There's been times where I've been stung, and I feel like people, you know, you can get stung, and it's you're learning from that in order to, you know, watch out for that pitfall down the line. But yeah, I mean, it's fun as well.
We were speaking about this earlier, not me and you, but me and my team, and then we were talking about like amendments, or like, let's say you've been given a work, or someone's giving you a job request, and then you've given them the finished product, and then they're like, I don't really like this thing, and I want to do that. How jarring are amends for you as a graphic designer?
It's weird. Do you know what it is? You gotta have thick skin. You gotta have thick skin for this, and it's weird because, I mean, now how I work is that you've got to set that parameter. You know, you know that, I mean, amends will come, you know, but a good example is if I've got to do a logo, for example, before I start jumping on the computer and start designing, I'm gonna find some examples of things that I think you might like. You send me some references that you like, and then I'll create like almost a mood board based on that.
Okay.
At least that way, when I start designing, I've got a visual reference to always refer back to. And then usually when I design as well, I always have like a brief rationale as to why I've done those designs. So it's not just a case of it's got to look pretty. It's got to be like why have you done this? How could it work across print and digital and different platforms? And usually, I mean, it's maybe I've been quite fortunate, to be fair. But the past few months since I've been doing the freelance and actively on that front, there hasn't been many amends, because I feel like we've just got not in a kind of bougie way, but
so you're that slick, yeah? Your graphic design is that slick.
What I mean is like you from a get-go, I've always been quite keen to just understand where we're both going with this, do you know what I mean? So that I can kind of, you know, I'm aware that there's always going to be amends, but how many are we going to work with, do you know what I mean? And I think, you know, when you start doing those jobs and then the amends become less and less and less, you know you're probably doing something right.
Yeah.
So, you know, of course, I'm only human, obviously I'm going to have amends in now and again, but I've had a few jobs recently where it's just like, yeah, it's cool. I'm like, what? There's no amends. You don't want to change anything?
Yeah, and
I'm almost like thinking, do you want to add some stuff to it?
Yeah.
If they're liking it, then that's cool. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, I always like to make sure whatever I give, it's got to be the best of what I do. Do you know what I mean? Especially if it's representing who I am as a designer. But yeah, I mean, I can't complain if there's no amends.
And speaking on like the value and everything, you said that you started off as a junior. You're no longer a junior. No. You're not like big G in the game. I get that. But when you are starting up, especially in the creative field, for people that aren't yet sure of their value, and people are just like, oh, you should do this for free, or do this for experience, or it's about building that relationship, like you said. Where do you draw the line on, I've done enough to get paid now? Like, I've done enough, so you guys should actually pay me for my time or for my skill. Where do you decipher that line? Where do you draw that line?
It's a tricky one, because I don't believe in, you know, if you're working for someone, whether it's an internship, you know, or just for a friend, barring your family, barring mum and dad, because you've got to give mum and dad that. If it's friends and you're an intern, I don't believe in working for free, if I'm honest. You know.
Okay.
And the reason why is not because you just want to have loads of money to buy whatever, but it's a case of, you know, even when I think back to internships that, you know, I've been fortunate because internships have been paid, but I've heard stories where it hasn't. And I think when you're young and you're just starting out and you do an internship, you're getting experience and skills, but you're understanding the value of money and how you budget and do those life skills. You know what I mean? And that comes with working. If you do something well, you know, you get paid for it, or you do a job. So all these are factors that are important. I feel like it's not just a case of, you know, you're going to get loads of money for the sake of it. You know, there's a reason why I believe there should be money when you do an internship. Or, you know, and in terms of, basically that's it really. I could go over all there, but that's kind of premises.
And knowing everything you know now, and the career that you've been able to achieve, and everything that you've been able to achieve, all the experience that you've acquired over time, what do you know now that you wish you knew a little bit earlier that would have helped you or could help a younger or upcoming graphic designer?
Trying to throw some gems out there. Do you know what? You've got to be thick skinned. I think you've got to...
Resilience.
Yeah, you have to be, because I think it can be quite demoralising if you do something, you spend time on it, and you're thinking to yourself, yeah, this is cool, and you're thinking, and your mum thinks it's cool, but then when you share it to someone, or a client or a lecturer, and they just kind of chop it right down to size. I think for me, now knowing what I know now, all those times where I got given amends, or all those times I was told, actually, Kay, that's not so good, you know, take it on board, just soak it up, because those are the comments that actually, when you start doing things of your own bat, or you go up later in life, you know, you'll remember those feedback. I still remember those feedback that even my lecturer gives me about how I work and those things, and it feeds into how I work now. Do you know what I mean? And it's I'm tougher for it, I'm more confident for it, and I feel like it's just you can challenge more as well. It's important to, when you're young, you're a junior, you don't maybe tend to challenge as much as you should, because you kind of want to just be like the yes man, like I said before. But there comes a time when you have to challenge sometimes the client, and it can be you have to be in a respectful way, but you know, it's important to challenge. You know, I would always say that for sure.
Challenge, be resilient.
Yeah, not gladiator style, but just like verbal challenge as well.
No, obviously, but it's been amazing speaking to you. I think the work that you do is amazing, and you should continue. Hopefully I'll get a design from you soon. Maybe one of these days I'll be like, yo, okay. So basically, I'm looking for like this thing. Can you like hook me up? But if anybody else wants to use your services or wants to link up with you, please plug yourself over there.
Yeah, sure. So KieronLewis.com, my website. You can find all my current projects on there. Kieron Anthony L is my Instagram, so you can follow me on there as well in terms of what work I'm currently doing, update projects, and I'm quite quick on the email. So if you ever want to collaborate or find out some more information about me, just drop me a line. And
could you do that again to this camera?
This one, yeah, sure. So yeah, by all means, KieronLewis.com is my website. You can find my online portfolio there, or Kieron Anthony L is my Instagram feed. And again, I'm always posting current projects I'm doing or community-based projects. So yeah, drop me a line on there.
Make sure. Thank you so much, Kieron. It's been an absolute blessing. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And guys, we've come to the end of another episode of the High and Black podcast. I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope that you've learned a few gems. Please do get in touch with Kay. And yeah, make sure you follow us, share it with your friends, do all of that good stuff. I'm Bisi Akins. You've been watching the High and Black podcast, and we'll see you in the next one.